YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with some 2019 NFL draft grades. We're going division by division. We're going to try to get through these real quick throughout the week here. And then after we're through every division, I'm going to put them all the teams into one, rank them, and we'll figure out who had the best grade overall. But we're going to start here with the AFC East. And we're going to go through team by team, a full breakdown, best pick, worst pick, sleeper pick for each team, and we'll give them a letter grade. Something to keep in mind, I value the entire draft equally. So I'm not giving bonus points if you had a better first round pick or whatever. The whole thing is valued equally, and don't overreact to the worst pick of each team. Worst pick doesn't mean bad pick necessarily. Sometimes it does, not always. So right before we get started with these AFC East teams, 20K is our subscriber goal. Support's been awesome. We're almost there thanks to you guys. There's our Twitter in the bottom right and a link in the description. We have updates and constantly posting stuff on there. So check it out. Click that like button, notification button. All much appreciated. Let's start with the Bills. Don't pay attention to the order of the teams. Kind of just random here. So the best pick for me for the Bills was Cody Ford. I had a first round grade on Cody Ford. So you could argue Ed Oliver was the best pick, but in terms of value, Cody Ford was a first-round player for me, mid to late first round, and then they get him in the second. They did have to trade up for him, but I like it. They needed a guy like that. Worst pick to me is Devin Singletary, so it's a good worst pick to have because, again, I don't want anybody to overreact for my worst pick. It doesn't mean bad pick, but there was a lot of people out there that were high on Devin Singletary, and I was not one of them. I think he was solid. In the fifth round, I think solid pick. Fourth round, okay pick. Third round, a little early for me. He's definitely a weapon, but for a weapon, you expect him to have more speed. And my problems with him is before getting to the hole, kind of, hitting the hole, and sometimes he bounces it out too much. But definitely can be a good player. I'm not ruling that out. Just a little early. And sleeper is Tommy Sweeney, tight end from Boston College. I figured he'd be a seventh or undrafted, but why a sleeper? Usually those tight ends that are just sure thing blocking tight ends, like they're guaranteed to be good blockers, they already are good blockers, that you get late. Sometimes they're pretty sneaky because if you can develop kind of a receiving game with them, they'll be pretty good. So that's definitely the sleeper pick. Talking about the rest of their picks, Ed Oliver, he was my fifth overall player. They got him 9, kind of expected them maybe to get him there. So very solid pick. We talked about Cody Ford, talked about Devin Singletary. Dawson Knox, I like that pick in the third round, right about where he should have went, and they needed a tight end too. So I do like Dawson Knox. Can catch the ball, pretty solid at routes, and very good in run blocking, actually. I just need to stay healthy. Vosean Joseph, fifth round. A lot of people were high on Vosean Joseph. I was not one of those people, but fifth round is where I had him. So I think a solid pick there for a rotation linebacker. Jaquan Johnson, safety from Miami, could be a playmaker. I like him in the sixth round. Not tremendous value, but I like it in the sixth round. Daryl Johnson, I had as undrafted. They pick him 225 overall. And then we talked about Tommy Sweeney. So what's the grade for the Bills? I end up giving him an A. I like this draft. Like I said, I'm not in love with the Singletary pick, not in love with Daryl Johnson pick and some other picks here and there. I thought were good picks, not crazy good picks. But then what's keeping them, at A and not an A minus is really they got some, I would give them 100 out of 100 for picks like Ed Oliver and Cody Ford, especially Cody Ford. So that keeps the overall grade up, and there's no picks that I hate. Like I said, the worst pick doesn't mean it's a bad pick. Devin Singletary could be a pretty good ball player. Just a little early. So I think A is very fitting for the Bills. That's what I gave them. Moving on to the next AFC East team. We got the Miami Dolphins. For me, the best pick for the Dolphins was Christian Wilkins. I had a top 10 grade on him. They got him at 13. About where we thought he could go, though, so not tremendous value, but a very good player. Can move around the D-line, do different things, can get after the quarterback, can stop the run. And then my worst pick for them was Andrew Van Ginkel from Wisconsin. Odd pick to me because I had a 7th undrafted grade on him. They grabbed him in the 5th. And I don't know if he really fits. I thought he was kind of a pass-rushing linebacker, so I'm like, he's either going to be a 3-4 outside linebacker or he's going to be converted to a 4-3 outside linebacker. So the Dolphins aren't a 3-4 team. Curious to know what they'll do. They needed a pass rusher pretty bad. They didn't really grab that unless they're going to convert him to 4-3-N, which I'm not really seeing, but it's, I wouldn't doubt Brian Flores. So it's just a weird pick. I think early, pretty darn early, honestly, and it's a weird pick, but it could be a wild card too. We're going to see him converted a little bit. So We'll see. And then Isaiah Prince is going to be my sleeper pick. Sleepers, usually I try to get one of the later round picks or mid, and a guy that's kind of a steal too, and that's what Isaiah Prince is. I thought he would go, fourth round made sense to me, maybe fifth even at the latest. They get him into sixth, and they need another tackle, so this guy actually has potential to start at right tackle for them. So I do like that from the Dolphins. Looking at the draft as a whole, Christian Wilkins, we talked about him. Michael Dieter in the third, that's a pretty solid pick, where I thought he would go in the third round. Not going to jump out of my seat for that one, but it's good. Van Ginkel, didn't like it. We talked about it. Prince, we talked about it. I liked it. That was a very good pick. And then the seventh round was confusing to me. They go Chandler Cox, running back from Auburn, undrafted guy for me, and Myles Gaskin. So back-to-back running backs. And for me, the running back position for them is kind of go big or go home. You can get better. They don't have the best starter in the league in Drake, but he's solid. And then you got depth guys like Balaj already in there. So very interesting to me, especially when they needed, more D linemen in terms of pass rush and D tackle. They got the offensive line. I think they could have used another receiver or tight end as well. So, and it's not like those guys weren't there. It's not like there was no more of those positions left. So, interesting one here for the Dolphins. You can tell I like some of the picks at the top, not so much mixed in there. But I do take the Rosen thing I make it a factor. I gave him a B-. I was actually kind of leaning towards that C+ range, but that Josh Rosen trade, I consider it part of the draft because they didn't draft a quarterback because of it, and they did it within the draft. So I was kind of like borderline involving that, but it made sense, and the moves they did to acquire Josh Rosen is the main part why I wanted to include it. So it get bumped up to a B- there. That trade to move back, gain some more picks later, and then give the Cardinals a later second round pick instead of that pick I kind of like. So B- is what I gave them. Some impact players, but not a whole bunch there that I love. Moving on to the Jets. The Jets' best pick. You could have put my number one overall player in the draft here, Quinnen Williams, but we're looking at tremendous value. Ja'Kai Polite was tremendous value in the third round. Pass rush abilities equal first-round talent. Pretty much everything else is why he needs to, why he dropped out, what he needs to work on, stopping the run. Some character concerns, not really getting in trouble, but in terms of reacting with the coaches, so that's a slight concern for me. Nothing crazy there, but Ja'Kai Polite, I think I had him 32nd overall on my big board to get him in the third round, so that's an excellent value pick right there. Trevon Wesco from West Virginia is the worst pick. I don't really view it as a terrible pick. It's pretty darn early, though, because I like Wesco. He's another one of those guys that right now could be a dominant blocker as a tight end / fullback. And if he can, develop more of a receiving game, which NFL teams can do with some of these guys, then he can be pretty good. I just think he was taken pretty early. I thought him being a, possible, I would say seventh rounder. If he was a sixth rounder, it wouldn't surprise me. They take him in the fourth, though. So it's pretty early, and that's why he's under the worst pick section right there. And then sleeper is definitely Blake Cashman, who we could argue was with a better pick, too. Sleeper because he's down here in the fifth round, and he can make an impact right away because he's a very solid football player. I had a third round grade on him. They get him in the fifth. So Quinnen Williams was my number one player in the draft, but it was very realistic. They were getting him at 3, but a good pick there. Ja'Kai Polite we talked about. Chuma Edoga, I said it right. I don't know why. I always struggle with his name. I know who he is. I just struggle with it. It should be an easy one, but they needed a tackle, and he was a third round grade for me, and that's where they got him, so I like that. Wesco we talked about, solid blocker, so that help Darnold with that, but early for me. Cashman was a steal there, and Blashawn Austin, cornerback from Rutgers, has some upside to him. Was thinking probably around 7, but they're basically there late 6. So pretty good draft overall here. Let me reveal the grade I got for them. Gave him an A- because, you get my number one player in the draft, you get a steal in Ja'Kai Polite, you get a steal in Cashman, some other guys that are solid. Wesco is really the only one early. You definitely helped your team out here. Thought about the A. I just wish they would have grabbed, a receiver possibly, and I think they can definitely use another starting caliber corner earlier than Austin. So that was the one thing that kept me down from the A and almost put me in that B+ range, but I didn't want to hurt a team too much for not taking a specific position because I respect teams that stay true to their board. But taking a lot of receiver and cornerback, I think, throughout that draft a little earlier than they did for the corner. I think it was possible, but then maybe they wouldn't have ended up with Polite and guys like Cashman. So just that Wesco pick. Take him a little earlier and then grab a corner a little earlier with that pick in the 4th round. I thought that would have been an A. That's how you make this into an A+. But A-, obviously, I like the draft. The Jets got better. To the Patriots, best pick, N'Keal Harry was my number 1 wide receiver. They just took him, kind of confirmed that by taking the Patriots taking him with the last pick, because they don't really value the receiver position unless they're, very good. They're going to trade for a guy like Josh Gordon, even though he has character concerns, because he's a very good receiver, and they're going to draft N'Keal Harry in the 1st round because he's a very good receiver. So he was my number 1 receiver. He's a do-it-all guy. He's going to be real good with the Patriots. So that's the best pick, no question. Worst pick was Jacob Bailey. Interesting to see them take a punter there, but that's what they needed, I suppose. But not a fan of the punter in the 5th round on top of it. So I did not like that pick. But what are you gonna do there? Sleeper, Jarrett Stidham to me. I had if you watched our mocks leading up to the draft the last how many months, I had Stidham to the Patriots at some point, 3rd round most of the time. And I just felt like that was a Patriots guy. He could be the future Patriots quarterback. He was my number 4 quarterback, so that's a sleeper pick because he really could be the future Patriots quarterback there. And they get him in the 4th round, and I had him going in the 3rd round. So breaking it down, Harry, loved the pick. Joanne Williams, I like Joanne Williams, lengthy corner, pretty instinctive too. I like that pick in the 2nd round. Chase Winovich, very good pick in the 3rd round. I wasn't super high on Winovich compared to everyone else, but that was those people saying 2nd round, like early 2nd round. I had him early 3rd round. That's where they got him, so that's a good pick. Damian Harris, not like crazy about this pick. Don't really think it was a need, but I mean, they get some help with him. Yanni Kajus, I thought could have been a 2nd rounder. They get him in the 3rd. Froholt, the guard from Arkansas, that's about where I thought he would go. Jarrett Stidham, we talked about him. Byron Cowart, I thought maybe a tiny bit early. This is a tiny bit early, but he has tremendous upside. He used to be a number 1 recruit, went to Auburn, coaching change, didn't really get the chance to play all that much, and then transferred to Maryland, and 1 year was pretty solid. So he has some upside there. Bailey did not like the pick, and Ken Webster is a solid 7th round corner there. So pretty, a good amount of guys here that can help the team out. Really liked what they did. I gave him an A. A lot of people saying they had the best draft. It's very possible. I still got to do all the other teams. This is the first division I'm doing. But there's a lot of players on there. But then at the same time, Damian Harris is not a bad pick at all, but maybe a round early. And then looking at the punter pick, I didn't really like. Cowart maybe a little early, but he has upside. So very good draft overall. I love the N'Keal Harry pick. Maybe one of my favorite picks of the entire draft. But it's just it's close to being an A+. It's very close to being an A+. It's just kind of just a hair off there with some of the picks that were just a tad bit too early. But very good draft from the Patriots. So the Patriots and the Bills got an A. Dolphins B-. The Jets got the A-. So I guess the Bills and the Patriots in the same area there. We'll see once I get through all the divisions. I'm going to rank all 32 teams in with their grade in one video from worst to first. So we're going to see who beats who out there with the Patriots versus the Bills. And then compared to the rest of the NFL. So I'm going to keep ripping through each division there. We'll try to get earlier today I did a 2020 NFL mock draft, and then this is the first one of these. So today is, April 29th, Monday. So I'm going forward after today, I'm going to try to get 2 of these out a day, and then later this week we'll do the rankings of all the drafts together. So that's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for their support. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the rest of these videos. That's going to do it. Goodbye.